two, three. Hello, everyone. I hope I am coming through. Yeah. Unfortunately, we've been having some fits and starts. By Monday, hopefully, we will be working out all of the streaming delays. There happens to be a barrier. Perfect. So my apparently my audio is coming through pretty clearly. So uh, throw a blanket over the video, and I think you guys will be fine. Um, Listen, if you're tuning in anyway, and you love these hour long deep dives into tabletop RPG, effluvia, then I don't think you need to see my face. So, uh, but yeah, we're just having streaming issues lately. Some of that can be attributed to changes in YouTube and other factors, and then there's of course my own streaming potential where I'm at. So I may have to upgrade some of these things or forced upgrading maybe. Yeah, dead man's like it could be worse. You could live in California with scheduled power outages in rural areas. Yeah, it's jeez, whatever. Um, all right, well, okay. We tend to go off on little tangents, but we can incorporate that. So today is Future Friday, and apparently this week we kind of sort of were talking about island adventures, and but when we come to Future Friday, it's basically modern into the far future, and we use our subject that we talk about all week, and then we bring it into that realm. Now, of course, this ends up actually becoming like a big giant circle. Um, Mr. Spence says, California is just low key becoming a third world nation, getting a little bit of the worst of everything, huh? Going back to regressing just a little bit here and there. Oh man, starting to grow your own fruits and veggies. Uh, Cars will start rusting out on the highways become so packed and the cars moving so slow that they start rusting out and getting flat tires, and then people will just have to walk like a post-apocalyptic world as everyone gets starts walking and riding bicycles and stuff. Yeah. Oh man. P. Pelora, hey, hello there. Oh, yep, medieval disease is coming back. What a very slow post-apocalyptic world. Normally these things happen in like a montage, split second as the credits start rolling in the beginning of the TV show or movie, right? This one's just like, wow, it's taking so long. Now, Dead Man, the storyteller says, in Eclipse Phase, they go fairly deep into Ceres and Europa, which are giant iced over oceans, which I want to run a game in Europa so bad. So we of course previously were talking about medieval, the age of piracy when it comes to islands, right? Big giant ocean, lots of islands, probably like archipelago style, and sailing from place to place. But when we come about modern day to the far future, you can't help but talk about oceanic and ice worlds and the combinations thereof. And one of the most amazing locations that is within our own backyard is that scientists believe that Europa is a water filled, ice encased world because of, if I'm not mistaken, because of the gravitational power of Jupiter, that that energy is constantly shifting and moving the core of its moon Europa, which actually Jupiter has some moons that are gihugous, and therefore it turns the ice inside of it into liquid. And of course, we're tabletop role players. Of course, it's liquid, and so essentially the entire outer surface of Europa is deep ice. They believe from say 3 miles to maybe 60 miles deep of ice, and then you just go straight into oceans that might be hundreds of miles deep, and Palora's like, yeah, our moon is gigantus. It sure is. Uh, and the idea of using modern technology to explore the depths of oceans, to sail on aquatic worlds. Of course, in our own science fiction, we hear about going to other worlds. As a matter of fact, there's a role playing game based all about it called Blue Planet, where it's basically an entire oceanic world with a couple of islands here and there. And the strange, not strange thing, but it's funny how an entire world of aquaticness, we're just like, oh sure, we're gonna live, role playing wise. Yeah, we're gonna be underwater. We might be merfolk people. We might have our brains implanted into like octopi or squids or killer whales or something, and that kind of thing. Pelora says, but yes, that gravity thing is called tidal heating. Yes, thank you very much for educating me on that. Yes, tidal heating is the idea that gravity keeps massaging something, creating an internal heat because of the gravitational pull, and that tidal heating will the tidal heating will liquefy normally solid objects. I suppose it would be similarly. It's a strange similarity would be taking clay or Play-Doh in your hand and slowly massaging it, and the heat, you're slowly creating a little bit of heat in it as you massage it, as opposed to leaving a lump of Play-Doh and not touching it at all, which becomes dry and can become hardened after a while. Deadman says we've detected a moon around a gas giant orbiting Alpha Centauri that is about the size of Earth. I have not kept up with the number of exoplanets we've discovered in other systems, and I have to. I hope they give them cool names. I know we like to go with the number letter thing, but I think we need some cool names. Imagine living on that planet when it's eclipsed by the gas giant. I don't know what it would be, what the planet rise, like if you looked up in the sky, would it dominate, would Jupiter's big red spot dominate the sky, or I don't know what it would look like if you were standing on the surface of that world. That would just be awesome. And Pelora says the number thing is usually just the telescope and the date, things like that. Anyway, oh yeah, I'm sure they're placeholders, placeholder names. And although part of me, I don't like the snide naming of things. Uh, Dale's rooftop looktatorium, 8/1944. I don't like the snide ones, like we live in the Milky Way galaxy, and supposedly like the neighboring galaxy is named Snickers. It's like, I'd rather it named after gives do the true thing, right? Give it someone's last name, or like the name of the project that looked it up, or the group of people that found it. Our neighboring galaxy is Andromeda. There's the whole Greek thing of Andromeda. Tesla Ranger says, quote, as of 1 October 2019, there are 4,118 confirmed exoplanets in 3,063 systems, with 669 systems having more than one planet. Wow. Wow. So don't tell me that exploring our own universe it isn't cool, man. There's so much we can mine from that. Um, Melkdromeda. When Andromeda and Milky Way eventually combine, it'll be Melkdromeda. I hope we're around to see it, or I hope our culture's around to see it. So when we talk about the aquatic worlds and using high technology to go after aquatic worlds, there seems to be this strange divide where if there's no land masses that are poking above the water level, we're pretty happy to live underwater. But the moment there's any bit of land that pokes above the water level, we scramble to plant our flag on it. And I'm sure that's just because we are land based human beings. And so when science fiction writing hits those kind of things, we tend to want to sit on the land based part. But it's also a little bit aquatic worlds can be a little bit scary as well because much like snakes and other types of predators, water scares the hell out of me. The deeper it is, the darker it is, the scarier it is. As a matter of fact, we've barely scratched the depths of our own world, and how many species are living so far deep in our own oceans that we don't know. We don't know the topography exactly. The highest, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, our highest mountain peaks have an equivalent depths of crevices in our own oceans that we've yet to discover. So I'm sure at some point in time there will be people who will reach the the Mount Everest of depths, the Marianas Trench and things of that nature. Pelora goes on to say the Earth underwater stuff is a lot of nope. I like that. I need a T-shirt that says that. Stolen, yeah, is a lot of nope. Yeah, anglerfish, colossal squid, gulper eels. No thanks, no thanks. I'm with you. I don't. Heck, I don't even like seaweed brushing up against my legs that go into the water. So when you get a species that hasn't seen daylight that lives down in pressures that could pretty much crush most man-made objects designed to go in depth, yeah, no. Hell, we even understand that the genetic origin, I believe, of octopi is still is more closely related to an alien species than like crocodiles and stuff and Komodo dragons, and they seem really and chickens and stuff. So they seem far more closerly closer related to their origins, prehistoric origins, than say birds and alligators and things like that. Octopi have blue blood, which is pretty neat. I think so. Now, Mr. Spencer says Alpha Centauri is only 2.5 million light years away and on a collision course with us, playing in a campaign where the party is part of an effort to get everyone off planets before the galactic collision would be, well, like an island adventure with people on an island that's erupting. I was. Thank you for getting me there. I was thinking that space itself is an ocean, and our ability to go from place to place could be like islands. And if you want to run a Battlestar Galactica escaping the death throes of the universe type of adventure, I think that would be sweet, if especially if the PCs are tied to stealing from Battlestar Galactica, right? And going from your Alpha Centauri idea that planetary collisions, solar flares, eruption of stars, and things of that nature, giant planetoids hurtling to collide with other systems. If the PCs are part of a forward group that has to protect the last remnants modern of a modern society, so it both puts the players in exploration mode, going to new places, or at least maybe society has expanded through the universe, but not so much that they've created like a Coruscant, but they've created like colonies of maybe hundreds or thousands, or even a couple that have a few million on them. But you have this wave of humanity that's trying to escape, and the PCs are the forerunners. They're like the scouts. They are the forward team that has to go out and find supplies for basic essential things, right? Food, water, oxygen, energy, raw materials, and things. And then, of course, they have to do things like repair. There's political upheaval. There might be some sabotage. There is the no, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, we should go left. No, we have to go right. And everyone's looking at their watch like, oh, okay, listen, somebody's got to make a decision, and our political leaders are all gone. They've been wiped out. So you're going to have to make the decision for us and live with the consequences. And I would love something like that, especially if it's almost like carrying around your own. Humanity would be like carrying around their own cityscape of sorts, and the more destruction that has, the less resources the PCs can pull from. I think that would be kind of sweet. You could even gamify it, like numbers. Give it like a number rating kind of thing, and the more attention the PCs give to it, the better aid they can get. But then going the reverse, the more the PCs go out on their own and put less threat on their home base by going out on their own, the less attention they're giving to it. I would love that. You could do it on a scale of 1 to 10, and then make it a maximum of 10. So you could put like 3 points in one, 7 points in another, or something like that. You could do that. In Tesla, you got what, Andromeda Galaxy, not Alpha Centauri. Isn't it Alpha Centauri a planetary system, and Andromeda is the entire galaxy? Yeah. Plural's like, the denizens of Andromeda all have bad faces and are terrible by and large. I guess you would know since you've been there, since you hail from such distant shores. Now, the other great thing about using like the far future and traveling from galaxy to galaxy is, of course, landing on planets. Now, yes, you can do the typical thing, which was a money saving thing, where you Star Trek and everyone's like, "Oh, land on an M class planet," where you're just walking around. But landing on worlds where they are all harsh landscapes, acidic seas, and giant gas giants, and asteroid belts, and places where the gravity fluctuates and there's high radiation, and dealing with that environmental stuff, because you know me, I'm going to embrace the environmental crap, right? And then having like a nearly almost like an internal strife going on, where there may be competing, much like the age of piracy and privateers. There might be competing factions who are all going after the same goal, which is to propagate the continued human race. So, very much, it's not about us against them. It's basically, well, it's not about us surviving versus them surviving. It's all of us surviving, but how do we do it? Do we remain still and plant our flag, or do we move on? Knowing that making either decision will spell either paradise or disaster for the next generation of individuals. And with eclipse phase, this I'm gonna squirrel a little bit. I'm gonna segue. Eclipse phase is one of a number of games where the idea of death and dying is in the game, but that's not the important thing in the game. Much like Dungeons and Dragons has quite mitigated the ability to die. Eclipse phase is like that. There's plenty of games, hell, even Blades in the Dark, despite the criminality of living in a city where it's like Victorian England, it's always dark and people are, backstabbing each other. Death is actually quite rare. And Eclipse phase is the same way. The transhumanist thing where you have cortical stacks and you can be brought back. And the idea is the dying is not the point of the role playing game. It is the journey that is the point of the role playing game, and you can very much fail over and over again in Eclipse phase and not die and still feel fruitless. And I like that idea where you might be going on suicide missions or going into places that are extremely horrible and trying to navigate your way through some horrible situation to die consistently and over again until you finally figure it out, much like a similarly related to a Groundhog Day effect. and and then when the PCs finally uncover or figure out the clue to fix the puzzle, it might be too late for humanity and stuff. And I like the idea of doing that to to essentially run the same adventure over and over again until they figure it out. Poor, you're so silly. It's like it's where unicorns come from. True story. We escaped the bad face plague. Well, I love your face there, even if it is, even if you think it's horse-like with a magical unicorn. Although I'm getting images of, oh, what's the YouTube video where you with the unicorn crapping out, sitting on the toilet, crapping out the soft serve ice cream in rainbow colors. Oh, poor, um, Spotty Potty? Come on, somebody post it up in the Discord, please. Put it up in there. Now, Dead Man, the storyteller, says that Eclipse Phase series is run by the Neo Octopus Mafia called the Hidden Concern. You know, I know the part of it is a play on words, but like the octopi, which many of which are uplifted animals, so they're quite brilliant. They have their tentacles in everything, and they're always 8 steps ahead. And I love the idea of embracing that, even though we have no idea if an octopus with 8 limbs can think 8 ways differently than humanity. We don't know that, but is it Squatty Potty? Yes, Squatty Potty. Thanks, Pelora. I would consume your soft serve any day there, P. Wow, that came out a lot. I meant it to be dirty, but I think that came out a little dirtier than I intended it to be. Oh, shit. I'm so sorry. Okay, maybe I'm not, because it did come out that way, but I hope you know that I'm saying that in jest. All right, so, because, oh, wow, that's horrible. Anyway, scatological humor there. So anyway, the idea that the neo octopi, you could very much. Woo! All right, Squirrely, we've gone down a deep dark path here. The link to this unicorn changed the way I poop. Hashtag Squatty Potty. Wow. Now, it is true though that the octopi are the uplifted animals, but imagine giving sentience and additional size and adding some high technology to some of the aquatic things that we can think of. Despite how gonzo bizarre it was, the Aquaman movie was actually quite brilliant in the way incorporated so many different they tried to incorporate so many different types of cultures in this underworld arena. So, oh wow, Tesla, always smacking me in the face with those. Thank you, Tesla Ranger. I'm gonna have to click these pretty soon. Now, now, Mr. Spencer says, we haven't discussed it much this week, but for spacefaring adventures, consider ghost ships, old colony ships full of hungry ghosts floating forgotten in the void ocean. You know, yes, space, the void of space itself is an ocean unto itself, despite how big it is. And there's no reason why our far future worlds can't steal from the age of piracy and medieval adventuring and vice versa, right? Why? Of course, there's Spelljammer, and you can have things like you said, derelict space stations and ships with hungry ghosts, giant size adversaries and creatures that live and float through the vacuum of space, maybe sailing on solar winds and using high radiation, effects or something like that. I mean, so many things. Moving small it could be small space parasites that impact spacecraft, like space debris punching holes through starships and flowing inside of habitats that have been thrown into zero gravity and such. And I could imagine, instead of the idea of space combat where you're blasting things, shooting each other with lasers and missiles and such, maybe resources are so valuable that it's all about a scavenging. So it's too it, no one wants to shoot someone else's space habitat down because you want that for yourself. And even if there's something derelict inside of it, or damaged, or diseased, or manipulated, or something, like the idea of the animated systems on a ship being corrupted by a computer virus, or the people inside being some kind of like nasty inbred cousin humping people over a long period of time and such. Yeah, Pelor is like, it's okay to say no to drugs, folks, just in case you weren't aware. Oh, yeah, but even the deep reaches of space, we can make analogies to sailing on oceans, with nebula, solar flares, the exploding, the waves of solar radiation and radiation coming from like quasars, pulsars, stars moving through from white dwarf and red giants, and collapsing stars and black holes. I'm trying to go through all the stellar things in my head, but you get what I'm saying. Like, those events could are excellent ways to get rid of that analysis paralysis, so that when the PCs arrive somewhere and they need to get um you know dilithium crystals, or absorb solar radiation through their solar panels and such, you can establish this need to measure out the resources that they need. Going beyond just food and water, they need to, maybe every time they use their sublight engines, they need to recharge them, whether it's putting out the big solar panels and absorbing radiation, or disassembling a local asteroid for its material components or things. I mean, that could be a cost in the world, and a great way, an excuse, air quotes, an excuse to have an adventure where the PCs land somewhere, and of course an enemy comes by, or the PCs discover something like an abandoned colony, and the PCs are like, ugh, we gotta leave, but we have to stay here for another 18 hours, so what are we gonna do? Hey, I know. I don't remember the Wrong Turns. Oh, the Wrong Turn series. Thriller slasher horror series of travelers and truckers, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Talking about modern day, you could the equivalent of sailing on open oceans would be people driving along lonely highways in the Midwest, where cell phone coverage is spotty at best, and you have good old boy sheriffs that don't really give a damn about you youngin' big city slickers driving around in a car that happens to break down all the time in gas stations, with a guy there who goes by one name and likes to spit a lot of tobacco out of his mouth from all the chew. Yeah, we've seen that, and if I'm not mistaken, that's exactly what it is, right? Um, Plur says a Mountain William is their ultimate form. I'm assuming Mountain William is a local pejorative, but I like it, Mountain Williams. Um, the Going back to Spenzar, imagine. an intergalactic society of sorts, like humanity spread far out to the stars to the point where we don't recognize each other anymore, genetically, socially, of course, economically, easily. Technology, maybe we've gotten to the point. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh no, I felt you there, Pelor. Like hillbilly, but extreme. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Hillbilly to the point of like you're. Wait, we're not the same species, are we? Right? And so some of this, you know, inbred kind of ghetto trailer trash kind of thing might be a thing after something has happened to society as it spread throughout the universe. Like there could have been a golden age of exploration where everyone and anyone could take their own starship and their own like-minded people to settle any place, because in a post-scarcity world, energy and survival is just point your way to the stars and we move on. And oh, how glorious life would be where every little faction from 1.5 million people to just 10 people looking to you know form their own way in the stars spreads out, and then something happens at the core of the galaxy, or much like the origins of the book series Ringworld, that the puppeteers in the Ringworld series, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, knew that the galactic core exploded 50,000 years ago. And, the human in the story is like, yeah, but why are you panicked now? And the puppeteers are like, we have to move hundreds of billions of people in an entire galactic society out of our galaxy into another one. And the best place to survive is this ring world. And if we don't start today, by the time by the time everyone panics and realizes that we have to move, we won't be able to move our entire society, period, to leave our solar system and our galaxy to go to another whole galaxy. And that might be the impetus, right? The PCs might have knowledge that everyone else doesn't, or at least have the players could embrace the imperative that they know something no one else does. Like if for example, they have it on good knowledge that our Milky Way galaxy in the center, there's a black hole, and eventually, uh, going back to Mr. Spenzar, right? We're going to have an impact with Alpha Centauri. Well, of course, thinking about our own lifespans, it doesn't really matter much. But a strange thing to think about is the longer lived we are, the greater chance we have of dying by some external force. Living 100 years, an asteroid impact probably has less chance of killing us than if we live 10,000 years, or 100,000 years, or 1 million years. A person, any, it's kind of strange to say, but the most immortal creatures have the greatest chance of dying from some external source. The radiation wipes out life on Earth. The Earth falls into the sun. Our Milky Way galaxy impacts another Milky Way galaxy. Those kind of things. And what if the PCs are on a mission to save all of humanity, and you have all these divergent cultures and mutants and it, people that have discovered other life forms, or they have become themselves other life forms due to inbreeding, disease, manipulation of technologies, and the PCs are like, listen, I know we don't agree on anything, but you have got to pack up and go because we are all going to die. Now, Mr. Spencer puts into the Discord, there's a speculative fiction piece I love. It's All Tomorrows, and it covers a hypothetical future path of human evolution set from the near future to 1 billion years from the present, with several future human species evolving through natural means and through genetic engineering conducted by both humans themselves and by a mysterious and superior alien species called the, going to pronounce it Q, or Ku? Q. Cough, cough, Andromeda, cough, cough. Yeah, what was the Nietzscheans? is an example of that. And thank you, Dead Man. Puts in the Wikipedia link to All Tomorrows. Um, yeah, the a weird way of coming up, some fuel to come up with new cultures would be to take our imagine people who have naturally and genetically modified themselves to embrace the various political and socioeconomic systems we've had on Earth. So Nietzsche became the Nietzscheans in the Andromeda television show and created by Gene Roddenberry. Could you imagine Marxians or come on, guys, give me some other ones. Maybe I don't know, uh, Caesarians from Caesar and the Roman Empire. Give me some other political systems. Hyper capital Lysians. Yeah, I know a few people like that. You see them in McDonald's. Ours hang out at Walmart. By the way, yeah. Spencer says, "Man, to live your life as a living filter for a space station, ugh, as a rectangular slab of flesh is no way to live." They're more like oblate spheroids. Ugh. You know, listen, that's as strange as that is. There are going to be people who would do so many other things, we've talked about in our Future Friday series. We've talked about some of the darkest, nastiest parts of humanity. I don't doubt that living as the Dungeons and Dragons equivalent of a gibbering mouther, just thick gobs of ectoplasmic flesh, all like eyes and mouths, living as like an extruded mass of flesh and humanity, and then just like sectioning off a little piece to have conversations with those meat bags that call themselves humans with the one head and two arms and two legs. Yeah, that would be a thing, and everything in between, right? Now, part of that might just be an adaptation on living in worlds. I believe the book series The Known Universe, written with Larry Niven and Jerry Pernille and a bunch of other writers, created a galactic system known as the known universe, where humanity spread out and settled planets. They settled planets where the colony ships landed in places for humans to live, but it didn't mean that they would live there indefinitely. So, for example, one colony ship landed on a planet with a highly eccentric orbit. So, twice during its orbit, it was close enough or far away. It was at a point at which it was far away from the sun that it was easy for the humans to live there. But because of its eccentric orbit, the colony ship also landed on a planet that would absolutely freeze over and then boil, during its journey around its star. And so there was another starship that landed on a planet of plateaus, on a poisonous gas planet. And so if you live on the planet at a particular latitude, and height, you could breathe the atmosphere, but if you went lower or above that atmosphere, you would die from the poison gases, so on and so forth. So people that landed on an aquatic world may have adapted themselves to live in the aquatic depths, and maybe even use some of the genetic material they brought with them on the Noah's Ark type ships to pull out the genetic material for octopi, squids, crabs, lobsters, all kinds of amphibious creatures like turtles and whales and such, and incorporated that into our genetic material. Hey M, what's going on? What's up there, M? I'm glad you're heading off to school. I know. I hope my audio's coming through. You're probably not being not probably don't have the ability to see me. I'm afraid how often my face is kind of like gotten a little screw faced and stuff. But peace to you, sir. Peace to you. You know what? we really haven't had a chance to like. For those who don't know, Em and I are lifelong. We've probably been friends for since grade school. So I'm going to go 35, 38 years ish. We've been. So yeah, we've been on a journey of peace, love, and open mindedness for a long time. We'll probably be we'll surpass 50 plus. So I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but there is the idea of traveling to distant worlds like the age of piracy where maybe the PCs haven't Plur says I haven't known anyone that long. Yeah, you haven't been old. You haven't lived that long. Maybe you'll have to do that part first. Malika's like 42 years. It's yeah, man. We were strange that we came from different grade schools too. We came from different. Although you know what, we've always been. You and I and the people we knew were always like the outsiders, coalescing together like gravity or something. So yeah, yeah. Plur's like yeah, details. Yeah. Now, the other part of the age of piracy is the idea of embracing the underdog. A lot of pirates were escaped slaves and criminals and political dissidents that were, kicked out of the country. There were people who lived divergent lifestyles. If you've ever watched, I'm going to give spoilers away. If you've ever watched Black Sails, there were multiple characters that were had different sexual orientations, and they were kicked out of the highly restrictive cultural norms in Victorian England at that time during the age of piracy, or maybe I'm mixing the two, whatever. But colonial England, and they were kicked out because they couldn't move up in society then. But in all the Caribbean islands, it was like the minute you got there, everybody was on the same level. You were a nobody, and if you could raise up in that realm, you were a somebody very easily. You might die, but you might become a king or queen or god amongst men and women if you could raise yourself up by your bootstraps, and that was a really cool thing. In that, as depicted in the television show Black Sails, and something you could really embrace in this realm, where the PCs are kind of like the ragtag group of people, much like tabletop role playing games. You have yourself a set of rules, right? And you grab some dice and you pick your character options and things. But that's because the PCs are the exception to the rule. But the places they go, they're like, we don't like those people with blue skin and whatnot. And PCs are like, well, they're helping us out. I don't know why you don't like them. Oh, they live in that Europa, and they're always strange with their squiddy like thoughts, and oh, I hate them. And maybe the PCs save people, rescue people, find connections, and the more allies they make, the more enemies they make. The enemy of my enemy kind of thing, where the the greater the the connections the PCs make, the more they are a threat to others who are trying to get those same connections, or at least disrupt those connections as well. That'd be kind of cool to, for and again, in the age of piracy in space, something might be inconsequential one place and extremely valuable somewhere else. For example, chocolate, right? You might have tons of chocolate bars, and it's like, oh, it's filling up our ship. We should just dump this crap because we could really use some missiles. And there's a space station that's like, dude, we would die for some chocolate. God, we haven't had chocolate in years. We'll pay you anything for your chocolate bars, right? You know, hell, just even the idea of cleaning out some space habs air filters and HVAC system may be so valuable to them that that might be the reason for dealing with the strange and bizarre behaviors that these other people have. It may even be like insidious kind of. These people might seem really innocent until you look behind closed doors, or they lock the key behind you. Um, much like the idea the people in the hidden enclaves look at you, looking you up and down, and start licking their lips, and you're like, uh-oh, they look like they want to eat me, and I don't mean in the good way. Oh, Spencer says cargo cults caused by the party could be a hoot. Yeah, I mean, and again, it doesn't mean the world needs to be created. It could be that they're influenced by the PCs. So when the PCs leave somewhere and they come back and they're like chocolate addicts, they're just like, all hail the milk chocolate. You've got dark chocolate warriors. It is filled with chewy nougat. All hail the nougat. You've got Kit Kat agents and stuff. Oh no, we're being attacked by the baby Ruth. Zevron says this is weird that DBJ's frozen on my end as that damn creepy laughing smile Gandalf had at the end of Return of the King. Here's let me freeze my face. How about that one? I hope that got frozen. I don't know. Digging up my nose, vomiting. Anyway, Mr. Spencer. Oh, seriously, dude. Man, what if human excretions, adrenaline, dopamine, are used by certain unsavory alien races as powerful narcotics? I, I dude, I love that. I absolutely love that. Yes, yes. Oh, what's the thing where if you do that to your face, if you do the thing to your face, it'll stay that way if someone hits you in the back. I can't. It's the what's it's the come on. I can't get it, but yeah, don't make strange faces if someone hits you in the back. It'll stay that way. But could you imagine creating you could create human created alien species from all of the human systems in our body. So adrenaline, dopamine, come on, let's go sick, urine, feces, seminal fluid, vaginal excretions, tears, stomach acid, our skeletal systems, our skin, our neurological systems, brains, and just imagine dividing up all of that stuff and then like really stretching it out, extrapolating it, like our skin without the muscle and structure underneath it might be like almost they could float through low gravity and wrap around, almost like grappling and wrapping around things. And maybe hair's another good one. The roots of hair could plant themselves down in something, and then the follicles could reach out and strangle or even entrap or garrote or garrot piano wire around people's throats or piano wire around someone's arm, and then literally sever it by trapping it. But it's dead material, so if you cut the hair, they don't die unless you get rid of the root. And who knows how big they could be? They could be 3 feet, 12 feet. They could as long as a soccer field or something. Pretty nasty. But bloody organics. You don't know that robot Olympics are the only fair competition. Everyone is the spec and completely equal. Yeah, right. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, right. You come on now. They'll be changing their hydraulics and their internal systems with something like that. Oh shoot. Zev says Frieza from Dragon Ball Z went to planets, wiping out the natives to resell the planet as real estate. A planet that is pure island paradise. Think of the profits. Yeah. Who's to say that a an island paradise, like you say, wasn't created by someone or trying to be protected. There could be a high class, low class type of society where the rich live on these paradises and they force the lower class to live on these harsh planetary worlds that have been that are either poisonous to begin with or we poison them already. And like you low class people, you live on the dirty planet that's, completely, it's like Venus, right? It's been completely enwrapped by sludge and mud and fog and smog and coal factories and whatever kind of poison in the air. But we live in paradise and we pay for others to live in those places. Ooh, the Heraldrix is leaving. You too. Love you, baby.
There's breakfast stuff. I bought some.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
There's bacon, eggs, and potatoes.
Thanks, babe.
Love you.
Love you. Bye. Ah, the Heraldrix has spoken. We have gotten to our hour point. So, guys, hell yeah. Mr. Spencer says he's using W40. We got the one who's doping. I love that. Pitch him at 5,000, a modified howitzer. Yeah, I don't want to be the catcher. Puts a new spin on spin on the pitcher and catcher analogy. And yes, I'm heading down that dark path.